Hello and welcome back to the podcast. So today's episode is going to be all about scaling business. So lots of people I imagine listening to this are one-person bands at the moment, and I'm sure you may or may not have dreams of the future or aspirations in the future to grow the business beyond yourself and get a team either working to support you, so you're the sort of frontline person still, they're kind of just making you look good and making your life easier, or you might have bigger goals on top of that and actually I want to have other agents working alongside me and have a team and sort of a structure around me. So today's episode is all about that and how to get the foundation in place so that can actually work correctly within your business. Now, I can say this from a personal point of view. I have been historically, before I launched my own business, the worst person to let go of things. I've always thought I'm the best person to do it. No one can do it like me. No one can do social media like me. No one can do admin like me. No one can do sales like me. It's the Chris show, take it or leave it. I would then get to the end of the day and I would complain to my partner and I would go, I'm exhausted. I've got so much work on. I'm doing. And my partner would go, why don't you get someone else to do it for you? Or why don't you push this onto another member of staff, for example, and I go, you don't understand, it's all me, I've got to do it myself. I'll end up telling them twice and I will need to upskill them and training takes forever. So basically, I was an absolute idiot, is basically what we're getting to here. So don't be an idiot like me is a really good place to start today's message. You'll be glad to know that I've actually loosened up a lot on that sort of things and I've gone actually in the complete opposite direction. So let's start with a big picture here. What I would like you to look at is there being bottlenecks in your business. If you're a one-person band, not only are you the person who opens all the doors in the business, so you are the biggest provider of opportunity, you are also the bottleneck as well. Imagine you got hit by a bus, your business would stop very quickly because you are the bottleneck. You are the one-person band who does pretty much everything under the sun. So that is the true test of whether you've got a business that can scale or not. So avoid buses as a golden rule to start off with. So, as I would see it, there's three parts to any estate agency business. Section number one is lead generation. So this is providing leads into your business, it's your phone ringing, it's generating leads, it's dealing with leads, it's basically all the front end of your sales funnel into your business. Section number two is the proper estate agency stuff. This is viewings, valuations, offer negotiation, all that sort of stuff that you signed up for when you first wanted to become an estate agent. And the final part of it is that you never wanted to sign up for, and that is the sales progression side of things. That is section number three. So that is getting a property right the way through from offer negotiation through to keys being handed over in about 5 months' time, which is far too long. So that is the section number three. So section one, lead generation, section two, sort of the proper estate agency stuff, and section number three, the sales progression. And obviously chronologically, that is in the right order as well. What I would love for you to do in your estate agency business is to get rid of section number one and section number three. And that is learning to let go of your lead generation side of things. That is learning to let go of and outsourcing your leads coming into your business. These are going to come in through whatever means it may be. We're then going to actually receive them into business. We'll take over at that stage. We'll then list the properties, sell the properties, and get them into sales progression, which then passes over to sales progression, which is taken away from ourselves. So studies show that for the average property going through sales progression, it uses about 10 to 15 hours worth of your time. So quite a long period of time, I think you'll agree, to kind of sacrifice, especially doing sales progression, which is a bit like punching yourself in the face anyway. Anything to get away from that, I think that's a good place to be. So what we're trying to do is get rid of number one and get rid of number three. But first of all, we need to have an understanding about what we can do and what other people can do in our business as well to support us. So this is where you're going to need a pen and paper, a spreadsheet, a word processing document. Basically, you need to write down a list. So if you're between viewings at the moment, cool, you got 5 minutes, you can do this really, really easily. What you need to do is to write down all the jobs you do on a weekly and monthly basis within your business. So this might be everything from administration time to dealing with my tax return, for example, through to doing viewings, through to doing valuations, through to feedback, through to vendor care, putting details together, organising photographers. So a long list. If you don't know what this is, look at your diary for the last couple of weeks or so and go, where am I spending my time? Or you can do it as a live process and you can literally just have your pad opened on your desk and go, great, I spent an hour today doing sales progression. I spent 20 minutes putting those details together, and that should basically add up to a kind of a day's worth of work effectively by the end of the day. So what we basically produce there is a list of all your jobs in your business. Now what you'd like to do at that next stage is to put down how long you're spending doing each of those tasks and make it a common metric at the end of it. So what I mean by that is don't go, I spend 10 minutes doing sales progression every day, but I spend a day doing X, Y, and Z at the end of the month. Make it all the same thing. So make it all in number of minutes, or make it in hours, or make it in days. Hopefully it's not days too often. So you can look at and compare apples with apples. Because if you're like, oh, I'm spending 65 minutes doing this, but I'm spending an hour and a half doing that, it makes it a little bit hard to compare what you're spending your time doing. Whereas you go, I spend 90 minutes on that, I spend 60 minutes on that, I spend 300 minutes on that. It's quite easy to compare where you're spending your time. So for example, if I was spending 10 minutes a day, for example, updating my social media profiles, and I post 5 days a week, great, we've got 50 minutes every single week, multiply that by a month, great, we've got about 200 minutes worth of work we're putting into our social media every single month, for example. So get a whole list right the way through. Now we'd go through that list and go, what are the jobs that only you can do? That if you got hit by that bus, no one else could replace you doing. So for example, things that I would probably be looking to keep, things like valuing properties, for example, viewings on properties, offer negotiation, maybe vendor care as well. You might go, actually, that's very important that I keep hold of that because I want to stay at the front end of the business. So go through that list and write down and tick against, highlight, put a star next to, whatever it may be, all the jobs that only you can do. What you've then created by default is a list that other people can do as well, because everything that hasn't got a star against it or hasn't been highlighted is basically things you've shown on there to say, actually, I can outsource this. I don't need to be the one who does those leaflets. I don't need to be the one who does that social media, for example. You might be the person who has to be in front of the camera on the social media, but am I the person who makes the posts and put them online and schedule them? No, someone else can do that for you. Your goal here, and people laugh when I say them to this, but this is generally how I feel about my own business and how you should feel about it as well. Your goal is to become the stupidest person in your business. So therefore, you should be hiring people around you who are better than you at the jobs you currently do. So I can talk about this from a personal experience. I've just taken on a full-time social media manager to look after our social media. And within 2 days, I looked at my posts and I was like, my old posts are terrible compared to this. This is such a seismic jump forward in what I was doing historically that I just never knew. Now it's obvious because I've got someone doing it for me who is better than me. Fantastic. But the logical side of things would be like, I don't want someone who's better than me. I'm the best person in the business. This is my business and I'm the best person. I'm the peak of the pyramid sort of thing. But actually we want the mentality to bring better people on around ourselves. So with that in mind, look at that list and go, actually, what can I get rid of from this where I may not be the best person at it at the moment, but I can get better people to take that over? Is it, instead of you doing the photographs, for example, we go, actually, let's get a professional photographer on board. Yes, it's going to cost us £100 through niche or whatever it may be to get those photographs done, but we're going to take a jump forward in 2 ways. A, you're going to save yourself a lot of time taking the pictures, and B, your property's going to look a lot better as well. So that's a win-win on both sides there. Am I the best sales progressor in the world? No, but can I either hire or outsource the best sales progressors in the world? Absolutely. And at the moment, I'm spending 10 hours per month doing one property at a time. Does that add up to me in the grand scheme of my business? No, it probably doesn't. If you're looking for even more validation about why you should do this, you as a business owner should have an idea about what your hourly worth is. So how much do you think you should charge yourself out for an hour's work? So if I said to you, for example, look, you've got no businesses in any way, shape or form. I'm writing my will out. Will you pop over for an hour to give me an evaluation? I'll give you a bit of cash off the back of it. Let me know how much you charge me for. That figure. Is it £50? Is it £100? Is it £200, for example? Well, multiply that amount of time that you've written down against one of those jobs and times it against your hourly rate. If you say I'm spending 5 hours per month doing my social media, for example, and I'm charging myself at £50 an hour, that's 250 quid. Can I get my social media looked after for 250 quid? Potentially. I'm spending 3 hours a month doing my photography, and I'm timesing my hourly rate is £100. Can I get my photographs done for 300 quid? Potentially. It'd be a job off your table sort of thing that you can then look to spend that time generating more business and getting more on the front end of your business. You cannot do every single thing in your business if you're looking to scale and expand over time. You will hit a rev limiter very, very quickly. So from personal experience, most agents, the rev limiter for a one-person band that is even quite well optimized is about 20 for sale, 20 under offer. So you've got about 40 households in total under your sort of stewardship of your estate agency. You're a busy person. You need to get people on board to support you. Now, in the same way that in your car, you don't rev the engine up to 8,000 RPM and then change gear, unless you're some sort of like rude boy, Halfords boy racer guy, you usually get to about 3,000 revs or 4,000 revs and then you change gear. So you need to see these things coming and go, actually, I'm getting really busy. And actually, I need to start getting people on board in my business to support me sooner rather than later. So when I do get busier, that sort of outsourcing process is taken care of already. Now, the really good news here is you can start with really low hanging fruit. So administration, for example. That's an easy job in your business that can get taken away from you. You can buy your time back by outsourcing your admin in your business. Is it particularly complicated or taxing? No, not really, and it's quite easy for other people to do it for you. And the great news is that with the sort of global economy we have these days, you can take advantage of literally the world is your oyster. They don't need to be based in the UK or live in Slough like you do. They can be anywhere in the world and do your job pretty much as well as you can do it, as long as it's a remote job, obviously. So take full advantage of that being in your business. Look at the marketplace in total and get people on board who can support you in your business going through day in, day out. Use those people and find people that are better than you at doing what you do at the moment. It will improve not only your time management, because you'll be buying your time back, but also your business will improve off the back of it as well. And people will go to you, I can't believe you run all that business as a one-person band. And you're like, well, actually, I've got 2, 3, 4 people behind me, behind the scenes, who make me look really, really good. So look at your own business, look where you're spending time at the moment, give yourself an hourly rate, look at what your amount of time is over a month, and then multiply that up and see actually how much you can afford to buy back your time in your business. You cannot do everything and be the best at everything all at the same time. I'm really sorry, but it is impossible. If you want to scale your business, you need to learn to let go of tasks in your business and put things through to other people. If you want a really nice little hack, so for those who have stayed right to the end of the podcast, I appreciate it's only 10 minutes long or so at the moment, but if you stay to this point, a really nice little hack with regard to training people up, record yourself doing videos, doing things. So for example, you would have an administrator who's going to do your particulars and bring your details all together. Great. Jump onto Zoom, press record, do a screen share, and just run through what you would do to do that. Go into a shared document, a Google Drive, for example, drop that video into there and call it how you put particulars together. Great, you might have someone who does your sales memos for you, for example. Great, well, do a screen recording of you doing a sales memo next time you agree a sale and call it how to do a sales memorandum. Drop it into that folder. So that when you onboard these people into your business, you're like, great, well, any questions about your job, about sales memos or putting details together, there is a pre-recorded video in that drive you can just watch back that will take you through the process from start to finish. If there's any questions on it at all, let me know, and potentially I'll need to redo the video just to fill in the gap that you kind of fell down on. So that's a really nice, easy way of passing your knowledge across to people who are joining your business, but also it doesn't really cost you any time because you were going to do it anyway. All you did beforehand is you jumped on the Zoom, press record, and you just did your job anyway. Press stop recording, drag it into a folder. Job done. Effectively, what you're building in that situation is a training sort of module and drive for your business. So should your admin person quit and not turn up for work on Monday, for example, great, okay, next person comes on, okay, there's the folder, there's the training, here's your onboarding, crack your way through that sort of thing. Any questions off the back of it, let us know. So that's a really easy way without having some sort of boring typing session of going through and saying step 1, do this, step 2, do that, of actually getting people onboarded into business that have processes and systems in place that can scale over time. But rule number 1, that's all only possible if you can learn to let go of the bits of the business and bring other people in to support you. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will catch up with you very soon.